Musical musings, musical musings, musical musings, musical musings.
Hello and good afternoon. Welcome back to the latest episode of our Musical Musings program. We air this program every Wednesday at 1 p.m., and it is broadcast to you from Rajabhankhan University of Technology, Pranakon. We'll be bringing this program to you in two parts. For the first part of our show, I will introduce a band or a group or a singer to you, along with a song that we are going to discuss. Then we will listen to the song. And in the second half of the program, we will go over the lyrics and talk about anything that may be a little bit difficult to understand. Maybe some slang words, some difficult vocabulary, things like that. Okay, then after that, we will get to the news and the latest updates from the university, as always.
Musical musings, musical musings, musical musings, musical musings.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Gary Gray, and I am your host for the Musical Musings program. I am an American teacher here at Rajabhankhan University of Technology, Pranakon. I have been here for 7 years, teaching English, of course, and I like to incorporate some music into our classrooms sometimes, and so that's why I'm hosting this show about music. So for today's episode, today's song, we're going to be doing the song Maneater by Hall and Oates. So Hall and Oates, you could probably guess from the name, are two people. So they are a duet. It is Daryl Hall and John Oates. They are from Philadelphia. You might know that city, maybe not. It's kind of a big city, a very important city in America, but maybe you don't know it. It's about halfway between New York City and Washington, D.C., so it's on the East Coast of the United States. So that's where they're from. And there's actually a lot of good musicians that have come out of that area. Of course, there's a lot that come from New York because it's a big city. But there's quite a few that have come out of like New Jersey and Philadelphia and Boston. And Boston's a little bit north of New York. So that whole kind of corridor. As you get down towards D.C., not as many. I'm not sure why. There are a few big ones, big singers. Big bands that have come out of DC or Baltimore, which is near DC. There are a few bands that have come out of there that are quite big. In fact, I'm forgetting her name. Her name escapes me right now, but one of the biggest singers, pop singers from the 1990s and 2000s is actually from Baltimore. So there are some that come from there, but really from Philadelphia up to New York. It's a really big area for a lot of musicians to come out of. Boston is also pretty big. You might have heard of the band Aerosmith. They're from Boston. There's a lot of there's also an older band which you probably wouldn't know called Boston. They're from Boston. So there's also a lot of big musicians that have come out of Boston, but New York City and Philadelphia, I would say, are bigger for their musical talent that has come out of those areas. So that's where Daryl Hall and John Oates are from. They're from Philadelphia. They formed in 1970. Now, an interesting thing about them, most of these bands that we discuss, I say they formed in a certain year, and then, maybe 2-3 years later, they're quite popular. These guys actually struggled for quite a while. Honestly, I'm not sure entirely why. Their music is quite good, and they had a lot of hits once they did become popular. So they were very popular. But they took a long time to get popular. As I said, they formed in 1970, but they were not popular until the late 1970s. I believe it was 1977 when their song Rich Girl came out. And that was probably their first really big hit. That's when they really became popular. And They stayed popular. As I said, they had a lot of big songs, so they were very popular for quite a long time, right up through the mid 80s. And their popularity, they're the type of band where their popularity kind of went down slowly. Some bands, they really just collapse and they just disappear. Hall and Oates, their popularity kind of just slowly went down. So their music is even still popular today. A lot of people like to listen to their music. They're they're yeah, they're still popular even now because they have so many good songs that people still like to listen to them. So their popularity is still not like down to zero. It has gone way down since their peak, of course, when they were really popular in the 1980s. But I mentioned that because they were still making music, they were still fairly popular all the way into the 90s. But their peak really was in the 1980s. Okay, so and in fact, today's song that we're gonna do, "Maneater," comes from the early '80s, and that was, like I said, really around their height, the height of their popularity. Now, as far as what genre they sing, this is a good example of a band that I don't where I don't like to talk about genre. We talk about it almost every episode because a lot of people always ask, like, "Oh, what kind of music do they play?" Well, what kind of music? That means what genre. So, what genre of music do they play? Almost every band crosses over different genres a little bit. In fact, that's what makes music so awesome because by combining different genres, you have practically an unlimited amount of variation you can get in music. You can cross genres, you can cross even instruments. For example, there's a really popular heavy metal band around recently over the last 5 years, maybe 10. But I think they've really gotten popular in the last 5 years called The Who. It's spelled HU, not The Who, WHO. That was a band a long time ago. Um, but The Who, HU. And they actually mix musical instruments from Mongolia with their heavy metal music. So that's a really cool sound. So you can mix instruments, you can mix genres, you can do all sorts of things. And Hall and Oates don't really have a specific genre. I guess if you had to say, you'd probably put them in pop, soft rock. It's kind of light sounding music. In fact, when you hear the song Maneater, it almost sounds a little bit rock and rollish, a little bit. This is probably actually one of their heavier songs, and it's not that heavy. It's not a very heavy song, and it's probably one of their heavier ones, which is also probably why it was one of their more popular ones because it was a little more unique, a little different style for them. So they cross a lot of different genres, but I would probably mostly say they were pop, soft rock, that kind of music. All right, so they've been really popular, like I said, since the late 1970s when Rich Girl came out. However, they have since broken up. A lot of these bands that are still alive are still around. We've talked about that in most of our episodes. Almost all of these people who are still alive are still performing. We just did Billy Joel a couple weeks ago, and I think he's the first person we've done two songs on. I think we've done two of his songs. I could be wrong about that, but I think we've done two of his songs. Um, and he actually just retired. And even after he announced his retirement, he's still been doing some performances, just kind of at small venues, but he's still out there performing. And he's well into his 70s now. So a lot of these bands, they just love their music. They don't go away. So if they're alive, they're still performing. These guys, no. These guys actually broke up. They had a falling out. In fact, they actually really hate each other right now. One of them, in fact, just sued the other one. I don't remember which one sued which one or what it was for. It was something that seemed so petty, so small that you wouldn't sue someone over. It just goes to show you how much they don't like each other anymore. And in fact, late in their career, even though they were still together, excuse me, even though they were still together, they already didn't like each other. When they're interviewed, I think it was John Oates. I forget which one it was, but when interviewed, he would say, "Yeah, well, we're just doing the music because it's a job. We get paid. We're making money, and they make a lot of money because they're popular. They don't they don't hang out together. They don't talk. They don't do anything. They go perform their music and then go their own ways." So, and now they don't even perform together anymore. So they are broken up. They no longer perform. All right. So as far as the song we're doing today, we're going to be doing Maneater, as I said. Now, what is this song about? Well, when you hear the song, you're going to think you know what it's about. It's about a woman. It even uses that term in the song at least once, maybe a couple times. It says the woman is wild, and it uses she a lot of times. It says, "Oh boy, she'll chew you up." So he uses she. She's a man eater, and talks about her beauty. So clearly, we're singing a song about a woman. That's what it sounds like. No. No, it very much sounds like it is a song about a woman. It is not. What it is about the city of New York. And so it's a man eater. Some of the lyrics are about she'll chew you up. Um, yeah, it's all kind of bad things. Bad things. It talks about how money is so important. Like it says, "Money's the matter," is one of the lines. Talks about how important money is. It's talking about all the bad things about New York City because it is a very difficult city to get by in. And especially when this song was written, ooh, New York City is okay now, but back in the 1970s and even into the early 80s, although in the early 80s it started getting better. It got better throughout the 80s, but even in the early 80s, it was still pretty bad. The crime was terrible. In fact, my brother got robbed in New York City at one point. But even now, it's still a very difficult city to kind of survive in, get by in. I worked in New York City. I made for my salary, I made about 20 times more money than I make working here in Thailand. And yet it was no easier to get by because everything is so expensive. It is a very hard city to get by in. And a lot of people are not very polite. They're not very nice. And I think it's largely because a lot of people move there to go to work there. So there's not like really a community. There's not like a good strong community there. It's people that have moved from all over the country and even all over the world because they do have a lot of immigrants in New York City. So people are there from all over the world. So there's not really a good sense of community. So everyone's just kind of looking out for themselves. So it's not very nice. It's not a very nice city. Um, a lot of people think it's like the best city in the world. I think because it has kind of everything, because there are so many immigrants there that like you can get any type of food. And a lot of times it's authentic food. For example, if you go to America and you go to a Thai restaurant in most parts of America, it's not really going to be authentic Thai food. It'll be similar to Thai food, but not really. For example, if you get tom yum, it's not going to be anywhere near as spicy as you get it here because they don't like spicy food. Well, in general, some people, of course, do, but in general, they don't like food as spicy in America. In New York, you can get the authentic Thai food because there are enough Thai people there that the Thai restaurant can serve Thai people. So they're going to make the food in the original Thai way. So if you want to get, you know, authentic food from some other culture, you want to get authentic Italian food, authentic Chinese food, you can get all those things in New York. There's also plenty of entertainment there. You have Broadway. Um, I've actually seen some movie stars in New York because they might be filming something. I haven't seen many, which is surprising since I worked there for several years. But I have seen a few. Seen a few movie stars in New York because they may be filming a movie there or something. There's just lots to see, lots to do, and so I think that's why some people think it's like the best city in the world. But some people think it's a terrible city because it's old. I mean, it's not an old city compared to like some European cities, but they haven't really kept it up very well. Like, there's not a lot of modern buildings and things like that. Their buildings were built in the 1960s and 1970s, and some even before then. So it's old, it's dirty. Like I said, the people aren't very nice. And it's not even that they're not nice people, because if you get to know them, just because I did, I mean, I worked there, they're just as nice as anyone else. It's just that in that environment, so many people around, you don't know anyone, there's no communities. It's just kind of, ugh, it's hard to make a living because everything costs so much. So it's hard to make enough money. So everyone's just out for themselves. And so that's kind of the attitude you get in New York City. All right. So that's what this song is about. It's about New York City and the difficulty living there. So let's get to the song. And for those of you joining us via YouTube, as always, we're going to give you the link on the screen here because we cannot embed the video here on YouTube. So you'll see the link in the upper right-hand corner. The rest of you who are either listening by radio or streaming, you should be just fine. We will drop the song in right here. So let's get to the song.
Musical musings, musical musings, musical musings, musical musings.
Welcome back. All right, so that is Maneater by Hall & Oates. And this song, again, is about the difficulty of living in New York City. And again, remember, we're talking about the 1980s when it was even worse. Like I said, even now, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to make it there. In fact, there's a song by a gentleman named Frank Sinatra, and one of the lines to his songs is about New York, and he says, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere, because it's one of the hardest places in the world to live. So that's what this song is about. It sounds like it's about a woman, though. In fact, we start out right away. It says, she only comes out at night, lean and hungry type. Nothing is new. I've seen her here before. That almost sounds like we're talking about a prostitute, maybe. She only comes out at night, lean and hungry. They probably don't mean hungry for food. They mean probably hungry for money, something like that. Nothing is new. I've seen her here before, so it sounds like she's out there every night. So this does sound like we're talking about a woman, right? Maybe even a prostitute, who knows? So this is actually a difficult song to interpret because it's not like the singer has told you what every line of the song actually means. You know, we've talked about that before. Sometimes interpreting these songs can be a little tricky. So even I'm not 100% sure what he means there, but New York City is known as the city that never sleeps. So it does kind of come alive at night. It's like there are a lot of places there in New York City that are just open 24 hours. A lot of restaurants, things like that. Most of the nicer restaurants, of course, they close, but they don't close until midnight, 1, 2 a.m., something like that. But there's a lot of like pizza places or something like that that are just open all the time. So I think that's what he's talking about when it says she only comes out at night, because that's kind of when the city comes alive. Lean and hungry type, again, you're talking about with the city coming alive. Of course, everyone's out there just fighting for themselves. So lean and hungry means that they're kind of mean and fighting for themselves. Nothing is new. I've seen her here before. So what he's saying is it's like that all the time. This is New York City. Welcome to New York City. Okay, so then it continues here. It continues on. Watching and waiting. Oh, she's sitting with you, but her eyes are on the door. So many have paid to see what you think you're getting for free. The woman is wild, a she-cat tamed by the purr of a jaguar. I can't even sing that right because of the way he sings it. And it's hard to understand when he sings it. So, okay. All right. What does all that mean? Oy. Okay. So, watching and waiting. She's sitting with you. Okay, again, it sounds like we're talking about a woman, right? She's sitting with you. So no, I think what we're talking so what I think he means here, again, hard to interpret. I'm not even sure myself. But I think what he means here is that everyone pretty much in the city is basically watching and waiting. Again, everyone is because a lot of people are trying to take advantage of other people. Like I said, my own brother got robbed in New York City. They sell fake things on the street, like fake Rolex watches and fake Gucci bags. So everyone's trying to take advantage of one another. So you're watching and waiting. All right. It says her eyes are on the door. So, she's just there for herself. If we were talking about a woman, which we're not really, but if you think of like the prostitute idea, it's going to be she's just looking to get her money and go. And so that's not really what we're talking about, but if you have that image, it's kind of the same idea of someone just looking to get their money and run. That's kind of the same idea of New York City. All right. So many have paid to see what you think you're getting for free. Okay. So what you think you're getting for free. So I guess it's not a prostitute, but it's still someone trying to take advantage of him. So again, if you think about this like a woman, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about someone that's going to take advantage of him. That is not really what it is. Again, it's about New York City. But so it's talking about New York City taking advantage of people. Okay. The woman is wild. So New York City is wild. A she cat. Okay. We're talking about a cat. But a lot of times the female cats are thought to be a little more wild. So a she cat tamed by the purr of a jaguar. Jaguar is a type of cat, too. It's a big black cat. What does that mean? No. If you actually look at the lyrics printed out, the word jaguar is capitalized. It's the car, which is also pronounced in Europe as jaguar. So some people, you'll hear it pronounced that way, jaguar. In America, we pronounce it a jaguar. That's what it's talking about. When they talk about the purr of a jaguar, they're talking about the sound the engine makes, the engine of the jaguar. So again, in it for the money, expensive cars. In fact, the next line says, money's the matter. If you're in it for love, you ain't going to get too far. So again, it's all about the money. New York City, all about the money. Okay, then we get to the chorus. Oh, here she comes. Watch out, boy, she'll chew you up. So again, sounds like a woman. All right, so we do have a saying here we need to talk about. Chew you up. What does that mean? All right, we have a saying in America that someone's going to chew you up and spit you out. That just means they're going to beat you. Could be beat you up, literally, like in a fight, or it could be in a sporting event or something like that. In other words, you're just going to get worn down. So this city is going to just wear you down. That's what that's saying. Watch out, boy. She'll chew you up. Oh, here she comes. She's a man-eater. Now, calling her a man-eater, that's just a clever term to use because she's going to chew you up. So she's a man-eater. She's going to chew you up. Well, that's just a clever term that they used for the song. There's nothing. We don't have any special saying about that. That doesn't have any special meaning. It's not a slang word. It's really just made up for this song. I mean, a lot of people kind of use it now because this song was so popular, but it's just for this song. It just means she's going to chew you up, like the words say. So watch out, boy, she'll chew you up. Oh, here she comes. She's a man-eater. Okay, so then we repeat that in the chorus. Then we get to the next verse. I wouldn't if I were you. I know what she can do. She's deadly, man, and she could really rip your world apart. Okay. This one is probably the hardest one to try to interpret. just because we don't know what he's talking about. He says, I wouldn't if I were you. I can only interpret that to mean don't even get involved with her. Again, it sounds like we're talking about a woman, right? So don't even get involved with her. So, in other words, most people, as I told you, from New York have moved there. So I think what he's saying is don't move there. Don't go to New York. You're going to regret it. Um, in fact, I didn't like it. And I only worked there. I lived outside the city. I don't like it. I don't like New York. I'm glad to be out of there. So I haven't been back to New York City since. I've been close because I have friends in the area since I lived in that area for so long. So I've visited some friends around the area outside the city, but I haven't been back since I moved. So I think that's what he's talking about when he says, I wouldn't if I were you. I know what she can do. So I know what the city can do to you. She's deadly and she could really rip your world apart. When we talk about ripping your world apart, it just means destroying your life. Can just ruin you, ruin your life. Okay? Mind over matter. Oh, the beauty is there, but a beast is in the heart. Okay? Also, again, a little bit tricky to interpret. Mind over matter, when we use that, that is a term we use. That is a phrase in English. And what that means is, something is difficult. You just have to put your mind to it and just go for it. And it's mind over matter. In other words, your brain power, your energy, your drive, your ambition to do something will allow you to do it and get it done successfully, even though it might seem impossible. That's what that means, mind over matter. So that's a little confusing because he just said, I wouldn't if I were you. So he just said, don't go to New York. And now he's saying mind over matter. So fight hard. In fact, the next line says, oh, the beauty is there. Because some people do think New York is beautiful. I don't really. It's an old city. It's dirty. But there are some beautiful things about it. If you like I said, if you like different foods, if you like different types of people, there's all kinds of people there because there are so many immigrants from all different countries. It tends to be a kind of a liberal city. So there are lots of gay people and straight people and trans people and lots of all kinds of different crazy people in New York. Any kind of person you can imagine. There's some scary people too. There's some bad people, but there's all kinds of people there. So, in that sense, you could say that there's some beauty there. But then it does say in the next line, but a beast is in the heart. What does that mean? Okay, so a beast, that's like a monster. So when they say a beast is in the heart, what it means there is that at its core, like in your heart, it's a monster. So at the core of the city, like what the city is really all about, is not good. Because again, it's about that greed. Everything is about the money. Everyone's in it for themselves. Okay. All right, then we get to the chorus again. Oh, here she comes. Watch out, boy, she'll chew you up. Oh, here she comes. She's a man-eater. Okay, and from there, we basically just repeat the chorus the whole rest of the way out. And as you listen to the song, you would have heard also a little solo in there. So that's actually it for the lyrics. We've just got 2 verses. Then we just repeat the chorus several times. All right, so that is really it for the song. Now, again, very interesting song. Really sounds like it's about a woman and maybe a bad relationship with a woman, or whether or not you should even be in the relationship with the woman. Like it says, I wouldn't if I were you, but it's actually about New York. It's about New York chewing you up because it's such a difficult city to survive in. And again, remember when this was written, as I told you, there was a lot more crime back then in the city. So it was even worse then. You still had all the people that were just out for themselves and trying to make money for themselves, and just a really tough place to live. But on top of that, there was a lot of crime, a lot of drugs. I mean, it's a big city. There's still crime. There's still drugs. There's still bad things there, but it's much nicer than it used to be. Back in the 1970s and early 1980s, it was oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. All right. So that's it for the song. And as I always recommend to you, I would recommend you listen to more songs by this band or this group or this duo, whatever you want to call them. Again, it's Hall and Oates. That's the name they go by. It's Daryl Hall and John Oates, but they go by Hall and Oates. Oates is spelled Oates. If you want to look them up, Hall and Oates. They have a lot of great songs. Like I said, they were really popular. As I told you, their first big song, Rich Girl, came out in 1977. Song we talked about today was Maneater, but they have a lot more great songs. Kiss on My List is another one by them. Private Eyes is another one. I Can't Go For That. That's another one. Sarah Smile, another really popular song. And they have more than just those. They have a lot of good songs. So please go check them out. They're a really good duo. And unfortunately, they're not making any music anymore because they don't like each other. So they have split up. All right. Thank you for joining us today for our Musical Musings program. Please stay with us and make sure you tune back in next week when I will bring you another great song. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you.
Musical musings, musical musings, musical